if you've ever struggled with your self-worth, or if you've ever struggled with finding your self-worth in how your body looks, or even in your body image, or finding your worth in your weight, then this episode is for you. You all know that I'm way more than about your weight. I think your weight is an important part of your health, but it is not the most important. It's definitely not the most important thing. And it definitely does not dictate your worth and your value. So today I wanted to have this conversation with the amazing Danielle Schaff about that, who she's all about walking in your worth. And she had an amazing summit earlier in the year where she talked just about this. And I was actually a guest in that summit. So Danielle Schaff is a faith-based life coach, teacher, and recovering people pleaser who's all about walking in your God-given worth. She loves vulnerability, salsa dancing, and traveling as some of her favorite things to do. And so I am really excited for you to dive into this conversation as we talk about her journey, our journeys in finding our self-worth and our body image, and just how that all connects and what that really does to us when we start to really believe that our worth is in our bodies and actually where our worth should be found. Danielle and I are both Christians, so we do believe that God has a lot to say about your worth. But even if you're not a Christian or you don't necessarily have any spirituality, I do think this conversation is going to be a really great conversation to listen to. So definitely tune on in. Check out all of the resources that Danielle talks about after so you can follow up with her, get to know her, and get supported in that way. But also, please make sure you book a call with me. Okay, so I have registration open for my More Than Your Weight Bootcamp. This 6-week program is where we will unpack these exact same things that Danielle and I talk about. We will talk about your worth. We will talk about finding peace with food and your body. We will talk about what that means in both thought, but also practically in how you care for your body. And there's so many amazing bonuses, meal planning bonuses, exercise planning bonuses, a whole 30 e-course, and of course, a bonus one-on-one session with me when you register by the 25th, by Friday. So you're going to want to at least book a call with me so that you can see if this program is a great fit for you. We don't start till August, but I'm trying to get people in it now so that they can get that support in July. All right. So have an amazing day. Enjoy the episode and make sure you book a clarity call with me in the show notes. And I can't wait to talk with you in the next couple weeks. All right. Bye. You're listening to the More Than Your Weight podcast, and I'm your host, Brianna Wilkerson. You know, for over half my life, I had to really pay attention to my relationship with food, my body, and myself. As a young girl, I started to find my worth in my weight and my work, and started to define my beauty and my body and my value through how I looked and how other people saw me. That led to disordered ways of eating, of exercising, and really just a poor relationship with my body and myself. And then when I started to finally see that my worth was not in my weight, it was not in how I looked, and it was not in what people thought of me, that's when I found breakthrough and freedom. And ever since, it's been my mission to help other women do the same. I am on a mission to see other women find peace with food, feel confident in their bodies again, and develop a healthy lifestyle that's more than about what they weigh. Now, weight loss is not necessarily a bad thing, but I do think when we are approaching it from a place of value or a place of trying to find our worth in it, that's when it can really trip us up. So I want you to find peace with food, to find your version of food freedom, your version of body confidence and love, and a healthy lifestyle that is about so much more than what the scale says. So this podcast is going to help you do that. You're going to find solo episodes, guest interviews, all designed to really speak from the heart, give you some new ways of thinking and acting so that you can start to also believe and walk in the truth that you are more than your weight. And from time to time, I'll throw in an essential oils episode because I'm also a lover of essential oils. So I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so honored to be a part of this journey with you. So please, before you get into the interview or the podcast or leave, I want to make sure you do a couple things. Make sure you join my free Facebook group, the More Than Your Weight Facebook community. This is a women's community designed to support you in really unpacking these episodes. I also host free trainings, free challenges to really kind of support you more in this journey. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, rate and review, but also subscribe to my weekly newsletter so you'll never miss a podcast episode. You can find all the links for that in the show notes. So make sure after you listen that you go do those things. Okay? So excited for this episode and so excited to journey with you. All right, enjoy. right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am joined with the lovely Danielle Schaff, who is all about helping you walk in your worth. I was a part of her summit earlier this year, and it was just an amazing summit, challenging to really just helping women not just know, but believe and walk in their worth. So thank you so much for joining us today, Danielle.
Yeah, I am so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about, recently changed the name of this podcast to More Than Your Weight, and I've been really just reflecting a lot on how what areas we as women find our worth in, right? We find our worth in, I think, our weight or our body image, our finances or our wealth, our work, what we do, our relationships. There's just so many other things besides the true place we should find our worth and that we're finding our worth in. So definitely, I can't wait to talk about that today. But
Yeah.
before we go into that, I would just love for you to share your story. Like what is your story around worth and that really led you to really want to help women in this area?
Yeah, no, I love this. I think our stories are just so powerful because there's nobody else in the world has one like ours. And it's a long story, but obviously I've learned how to make it kind of short. But I grew up in a home with an alcoholic mother and a hard father who was just really hard on me. And so I kind of grew up not really thinking much of myself. I just kind of thought, man, if I'm not performing well, if I don't kind of look like I have it all together, like good grades, do well at sports, have good friends, just always, if I didn't bring home good news to my parents all the time, then I would be shamed for it, or I would be told I wasn't good enough, or I'd be told to work harder. And it just kind of developed this mindset that I had of like, man, if I'm not doing my best, then I'm not lovable. If I'm not, making everybody else happy, then I'm not doing the best, or, what I thought at the time was what would fulfill me. And so fast forward to, getting past college, I mean, I kind of came to realize, man, I keep second guessing myself. I keep saying things in my head like I'm not good enough, or if I would set out on a new adventure, like learning a language or moving overseas or starting my college degree or finishing my college degree or having a boyfriend, trying to get married. I mean, I always was second guessing myself in all of these areas, kind of what you just had mentioned. And I just came to the realization, like, this, like, God has so much more for me than for me to just keep second guessing myself and think that my worth is found in the way that I look on the outside, the way that I perform, my health, my wealth, how my relationships are. And when I finally came to an encounter with God, and he showed me that my worth is not found in anything that I could actually see, but it was actually found in my relationship and my status before him as his daughter. I mean, it was like earth shattering. Oh my gosh, this is hopeful. This brings me so much joy. This doesn't make me second guess myself anymore. And it was just this incredible experience I had with God. And that was when I was 16, but still, in my college years, I had still struggled. And even my degree, part of my background is in linguistics and teaching other people how to learn a language. And, can you guess the number one reason why people don't attain a fluency in a second language is because they don't believe in themselves. They constantly doubt their ability to become fluent. And then I just started seeing, oh my goodness, all of my students, all of my who I'm teaching another language who are struggling with this. And so are my friends' friends. And I just really realized, you know what? I want to start talking about this with people, because once you can kind of get your self-worth figured out and where your value comes from, I mean, it changes everything about you. So that's kind of a little bit of where I'm kind of at right now, and why I'm decided to leave my job and go full time in this business.
Mm, so good. Just, yeah, I think you said so many great points around like, if I'm not doing my best, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy. It reminds me too of you probably read it, Captivating. And just that
Yeah.
book where it just talks about how women are asking these three questions, like, do I have what it takes? Am I worth it? Like, and we want to play, we have three core desires: to be loved, to feel like we belong and we're beautiful, and to play a role in this world. And often when those desires aren't met, and honestly, when we continue to find them in people versus like an external, immovable, unchangeable force or thing or God, then things happen. We become who we're not supposed to be. And I just love it. I have a very similar story of just like trying to find my worth in what I did and how I looked, and then having this like encounter with God just being in my face and saying, like, in a very loving way, like, this is just stop, like,
Yeah.
and I love it. I just love how, similarly, like similar journeys where, we were working full time, and then eventually, we really felt God calling us into this work because it's such a good work, but it is
Yes.
hard. So I'm just so excited that you are stepping into that more. Just, and again, if anyone's listening, I don't think anything's wrong with working another job and then doing your business, but I know
Of
for you,
course.
you're just going to be able to like fully get in and fully serve more, and just reach so much more women with that. So it's so
Yes.
exciting.
I'm so excited. And you know what? In making this transition, it's brought up all of my worth
Oh,
questions.
of course, yeah, all the time. Because I feel like that is a core. If you struggle with feeling worthy, it's going to pop up no matter what. Like, I did a post today,
Yeah.
actually, writing a book, working on my first book and writing, and I'm yeah,
Nice.
and but yet I see all these amazing women around me like publishing these books, and I'm like, they're so good. And I'm reading them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to write a book in order to do this. And I'm like, wait, why am I waiting to be worthy to go pitch myself to a podcast or to go do this? It's like, I'm already worthy. I don't need a book to make me,
Yes.
so it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's your health, if it's your business, if it's your relationship. If you struggle with the feeling of feeling worth it or worthy, it's going to pop up if you don't really kind of start to deal with it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. I mean, that is exactly another reason why I'm going into this, because I think sometimes we'll just go our whole lives not really dealing with some of our core issues or our
Mm-hmm.
core wounds that I think 9 out of 10 times have to do with the way we view ourselves
Right.
or the way God views us. And so I just think, it's sometimes you don't even know where to go to even talk about it, or you just don't even know that you had an issue. And I think
Right.
one reason to kind of, like you said, like it'll pop up, and I think one reason to know if you're still struggling with self-worth or self-doubt, is, are you constantly questioning yourself, or are you putting your life or decisions or dreams on hold because
Mm-hmm.
you don't think that you're going to be able to do it, you don't think you're worth it, and you think somebody else could do it better than you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you're consumed with those thoughts, they honestly paralyze you
Yeah.
and cause a lot of fear. And I know from firsthand, because I myself have struggled with this in the past, and still, in my own ways, those questions come up. But the beauty now is when they come up, I get to redirect them. I get to know my source is God and Jesus. I get to know, you know what, I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't work, then I'm going to try something else. And
Right.
there's such a freedom in that. Not equating who I am at my core to what I am or am not producing or doing or giving.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Summed it up right there, Yeah, I
Yeah.
just think we need to like, I asked a question too. It's just like, what I think on this post it said, what would you do if you were stopped waiting to be worthy? Like, what would we do as women? What would we do as moms? What would we do as friends? Like, what would we do? And I think we would just take more risks. We would be more confident. We wouldn't be trying to like be someone else. We wouldn't be trying to do this new thing, particularly with our bodies. Like, okay, we all are
Yes.
bio individuals. Our bodies are different. And even how we eat are different. Even how we exercise should be different. But yet we're trying to conform to the standard of what beauty is like. And let's just be honest, the forces are against you. Like, society does, as much as we're living in a time that it says like there's health at every size, or beauties and the behold, it's just all these things, there is still a lingering thing in the air of like what beautiful is. And
It's so true.
yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about that. So
Yeah.
body image and self-worth, because I don't think anything's wrong with someone if they want to lose weight or change how they look or get to a different size. That's not the issue. But I think the issue is when we're trying to do that from a place of, when I reach this size, when I do this thing, I am worth it. So
Yes.
talk to me a little bit about, like, say if I was a client coming to you and I was struggling with this, what would you say? What would you challenge me in?
Yeah, well, first of all, I ask a lot of my clients, what is your why?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you're listening and you're like, oh, I've heard that before. Or maybe, you're like, well, I've tried that before. But, the real, like, get real honest with yourself. Like when you look in the mirror and you don't like the way you look, or you say to yourself, hey, if once I get, once I lose 15 pounds, then I'll be able to go do this. Like, what is your why behind thinking like that? Like, what is the purpose? Like, does that, I challenge them and I say, is that like serving you? Does that mindset actually serve you to get to where you actually want to go? Because, and then usually we end up talking about how it just comes down to you're just, being mean to yourself and you're second guessing your worth, when really you should just be looking at how valuable am I today because of the woman that I am. So I usually start first with, encouraging women and challenging women to look in the mirror and speak life over their character and like the woman that they are, before you even get to like what your exercise is going to be for that day, or what you're going to eat for that day, or what your goal is. It's just like, who has God made you, and what kind of a woman, what characteristics are you trying to be today? Because I think that once you get that down and you're like, I'm a confident woman, I'm a courageous woman, I'm a loving woman, I'm a kind woman, I'm a joyful woman, I'm a capable woman. I mean, that right there, that just brings this type of energy and this type of like almost peace to, whatever you do the rest of your day is just going to be different, because you're living out of a different, understanding of who you are versus like what you're doing or what you're capable of doing that day. And I know, like, even for me right now, like I have been really sick. I got a really bad case of COVID in November, and I am still to this day like trying to get my exercise routine back and my eating habits back. I mean, I was your typical let me work out at 5 a.m. 3 to 4 times a week, and I was just on it, and because that was the best time of the day for me to work out. And I have not been able to do that for the past like 4 months. And I've gained some weight because of it. And guess what? I get to do my own coaching to myself. And I get to look in the mirror and say how beautiful I am, and say how amazing I am, and what, who I am first, and acknowledging that. And out of that kind of like love for myself and like surrendering of myself to God as well, I eat different, like I exercise different, like the pressure's off, and it just feels so like light and easy to like work out if I can and want to or not. Like there's almost like a newfound freedom in going after my health goals when I focus more on that. And so yeah, that's essentially kind of a part of how I would challenge women, is around your mindset, which I know you and I've talked about this, because it's so powerful what we believe and think about ourselves.
Yeah, that's so good. And I do think what you pointed out is that sometimes life happens and you have to adjust your
Yes.
goals, you have to adjust your life. But I think often we see that as not as, I don't want to say as an excuse, but we don't see behind it. Like we're just kind of, we aren't as adaptable as we need to be. It's kind of like, yeah, you can't wake up at 5 a.m. right now. You can't work out the same way. This could happen to someone if they're injured or if it's just a very busy season, but it's like,
Yep.
what can you do? Stop focusing on what can't you do and what can you do. But more
Love
so than
that.
that, I think what's interesting, what you said, is that like you're having to practice, like, as someone who, could do all these things before, gained a little weight. Now it's like you're having to coach yourself through it, being like, you know what, my worth is not in my weight. My worth is not in these things. And even as you've been enter into your new business, your business full time, it's like my worth isn't in this. The success of this does not dictate my worth. But it's just so hard when
It
we've
is.
trained our brain to believe otherwise. So
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. But you know what? I've really realized, like, since I have put on weight the last 4 to 5 months, more than I actually ever have in my entire life. I have never been this weight before, the scale, but I somehow my body like keeps holds weight really well. I don't know why. That's just how my
Mm-hmm.
body, it's just how my body is. You wouldn't even know that I'm almost 200 pounds right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like this is why I know I've grown, because the 200, the number
Mm-hmm.
it's not bothering me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I literally was 170 back in August, September, October. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm literally 200 pounds. And I'm like, okay, I definitely have some habits that I've got into that I'm getting out of. So, like, for example, I'm not doing 5 a.m. workouts, but I definitely am getting, walks in the afternoon, and I'm, doing different things, but not because I'm like shaming myself or because I'm like, oh, Danielle, you have to get back to 170. Like, you're not going to be as desirable for a future husband. People are going to judge you because of the way that you look. Like your business is online and people may notice. And I don't think those things.
Right.
And that's the beauty of like knowing and walking in my God-given worth. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it's not to downplay any goals, because trust me, I actually created a challenge this month that's around, building healthy habits, around exercise, alcohol intake, reading my scripture, like eating whole and limiting my sweets. I mean, I definitely have challenges, and I have people in my community who are doing it with me, but it's also, again, it's still not, that's not enough. That's just a
Right.
piece. That's just a piece. And I'm like, I look at my body and I'm like, I love my body.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to my body today, and I was looking in the mirror and I was like, you know what, Danielle, you may not be the weight that you always wear, but you look daggone good. And what you go about your day to day does not reflect or have anything to do with, the amount that you weigh right now. And I have to tell myself those things, and I have to coach myself. But it's so cool because I went to Mexico a couple of weeks ago, and I just went on a little mini vacation for myself, and I wore a two-piece and I felt fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just how cool is that? Because I'm so secure in just who I am as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
versus, what my body looks like, or how I feel right now.
Yeah. I love it how you're like, I was talking to my body the other day, and it's like, wow, yeah, it's like our body is this amazing thing that we're constantly told to be at war with. We're constantly told to never accept your body unless it's this. But then it happens. Even if you were to lose all your weight right now, if you approached taking care of yourself as health, taking care of your habits and health and weight from a place of shame or guilt, you would reach that size and not be happy still. I think we're
Exactly.
waiting to be happy. We're waiting to feel worthy, but no scale number, no nothing is ever going to really do that for us.
It will not last. And
Mm-hmm.
any person listening to this who's ever lost any type of weight or has seen the scale fluctuate, or maybe you've hit your goal, I mean, it's just sometimes really hard to be satisfied with that unless you have a solid whole version or view of who you are as a person first, and your character first, and whose you are. Like I've mentioned, I believe in God and Jesus. And I mean, he says the most beautiful things about me, and they have nothing to do with my weight. But you're right. It's like about being satisfied and thankful and happy in your own skin and in your own body today, with the way that God has given, the way that God has given it to you. Because you said in the beginning, like, we're all different, we're all uniquely different, we all wake up and have different things that we have to work through and fight through that have to do with our bodies. And I never thought I would find myself, in this season of not being able to work out as much, and, struggling to even eat, and things like that. And it's really caused me to question myself, but in a beautiful way, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so proud of myself. Like, I was looking at my body the other day and I was like, I'm so proud of you, body. Like, you've kept me through this, all of this sickness I've been having, all of this struggle. Like, I am so thankful for it. And I'm thanking God for my body, stretch marks and belly and all. And I'm like, you know what? I hope this, can go down a little bit simply because of the way I feel. Because, girl, I feel these extra 30 pounds. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm feeling sluggish. But like, that's how I know it's different. It's different this time. It's not like, oh, I'm going to lose 30 pounds so I can fit in this size, or so I
Right.
can, be accepted by, I'm a single woman, not married, or be accepted by a potential future husband or boyfriend. And no, 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 it's got nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. And that's just, to me, is just a form of freedom that I want other women and men to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's totally possible.
Yeah. No, I mean, so you mentioned something there, right? So like it seems like being grateful for your body and the things it does for you and all of that is one way that, you care about your body without, attaching it to your worth. But what are some other ways that, the women listening can care about their health, care about their body image, care about their weight if they want, care about all those things, but not attach it to their worth?
Yeah, no, that is such a good, literally gave me the chills. I love this question. So I've kind of mentioned the mindset piece, but I think also on top of mindset, like just being comfortable with who you actually are, like not comparing yourself to other people anymore. I think like a lot of the times, like I asked my client the other day, I was like, who told you, or how did it get into your mind that you had to be this size, or you had to go back to that one picture from like, you know college years? Like, who told you that? She was saying how it was her outside external, circumstances, or like, and her own self, because she looks at that picture from 7 years ago and is like, that's where I want to get to. And I'm like, okay, I totally love how you want to change your weight, and like, you want to be healthier and wholer. And so I just really, ask them to think about ways that they can go about doing that, but not being so focused on the end result, but actually like embracing the process and embracing like the woman that you are today, and how you can carry yourself today. So I think it mainly has to do with like just not comparing yourself to who you were or to who anybody else says that you need to be, but like, who are you trying to be? Who do you want to be? What kind of woman do you want to represent and show up today for you, and not for anybody else? And I just think that that's really powerful, because then you get to think about your worth, you get to think about the woman that you are and what you're about. So it's the comparison piece, it's the mindset, it's the comparison, not comparing yourself to anybody else, or even your own self 7 years ago. And then I think the third way is having accountability and just bringing some friends alongside of you, some people who are going to cheer with you and encourage you, and also remind you like, hey, your worth isn't attached to this, but let's have some fun. Like, okay, hey, your worth isn't attached to this, but like, let's meet some goals, like let's do this. And that's exactly why I even did a challenge in the month of May, because I had quite a few people reach out to me who were saying that they're struggling, and I was like, you know what, let's do a challenge. And let's not let there's no shame allowed. I said, listen, there's no shame allowed, and do your best, but your worth isn't attached to this, even if you do mess up or you don't meet your goal. And we're having so much fun with it. Like, we're in a texting group together, we're making jokes with one another, we're sending in check-ins, and just having fun with it and having accountability along your journey, I think can really help, because sometimes you can feel so isolated and like getting in your own head about how you're going to reach your health goals, when there's like a plethora of people around you who could help you or encourage you. I mean, even hiring you, Brianna, like, somebody like working with you to like come alongside of them and encourage them, and like, bring some truth and some light to the process.
So good. I didn't pay her to say that, everybody. She just said that. No, but yeah, I think I love this. It's just like, one, the challenge to stop comparing yourself even to your older self or to your whatever, because so many women, even women I work with, get hung up with like, this is who I used to be. And me, like I nearly have a 1-year-old. And if I sit here and was constantly being like, you know what, I need to get back into that shirt or those pants. I like the last couple months, I'm like, these clothes I actually don't want to wear anymore. They're just not my style anymore. And it doesn't matter if I can fit them or not. I'm giving them away. I'm going to
Wow.
find clothes that fit me now versus like, my body may go back to how it was before. It may not, but how can I embrace where my body is now and take
Yes.
care of it now, given the life that I have now? And so that's powerful. Stop comparing yourself even to yourself and others. Um, and then just, yeah, I think the mindset stuff that we talked about earlier, and then having accountability is key. And it's also knowing, what type of person you are. If you're more inwardly drawn, like you just need someone to like, Gretchen Rubin has these expectations tests. Like, how do you manage your expectation? And a lot of people are obligers, meaning if they need outsiders to like people out externally to hold them accountable. While some
Hmm.
people are very internally motivated, but I actually, as someone who is internally motivated, I still need accountability. And the reason why is because I often get shiny object syndrome, like, oh, this new thing, this new thing. And we all do this with our health, this new diet, this new plan.
Yeah.
And I do this with it, and I try to do everything, but it's like, okay, what do I need to focus on? And that is the power of accountability too, is people to help you stay on track, not just give you motivation, but help you stay focused when you're tempted to kind of do all these other things all
Yes.
around you. So that's so awesome. And then, so yeah, I mean, obviously, not everyone may be listening is a Christian, but I talk to me a little bit more about that. How, you had this experience where God really, really started to speak to you about your worth. But what does that look like daily for you to continue to, abide in Him and reach out to Him to remind yourself of your worth?
Oh yeah, I love this. So every day my intention is to get into the word of God to read, whether it's one verse or it's a whole chapter or it's a little devotional book. That is definitely something that I do because that's just a way that I can connect with God and just be reminded of what he says about me. And it's just so crazy because yesterday I did something and I caught myself thinking, oh my goodness, like, is somebody going to find me attractive if they know that I do this? And then I just had to remind myself, like, yes, because this is just who I am. Like, this is a part of my personality. This is the type of woman that I am. And like, then I got to be reminded, like, God made me this way. God's love, like there's a book in the Bible called Romans in chapter 8. It's such a powerful piece of scripture. If you're a scripture reader, go there and read it. If you're not, I encourage you to read it anyways. It talks about love and just God saying how much he loves me. And there is nothing in the world that can separate me from his love. And that right there is the purest form of unconditional love that I just crave almost daily. And not just because I'm single or because I've had a rough past, but truly, like, I wake up, I think God has created us for connection and for relationship. And so I just get to be reminded, like, he loves me no matter what. And that right there is safety. That is comfort. That is, peace when I am like second guessing myself or when I'm looking in the mirror. I mean, how many of us will look in the mirror? I ask my clients to keep track of their mindset and their thoughts when they look in the mirror. And some of my clients have never really, been cognizant of it before. And some of my clients have, but, maybe it's not the healthiest or the nicest. And so it's just so interesting. On a daily basis, this shows up in my thoughts. And I did a post. I created a post a couple weeks ago, and I said, where do you spend most of your time? And it's your mind. I mean, that is a place you will never escape and you will be in for the rest of your life, that God gives you on this earth. And so, I think it's really important to tend to it, to clean it, to make sure that it is happy and whole and healthy. And I think, one way that we can do that is, how I do that is through building my relationship with God, because that like influences all the things around me. So definitely it looks like getting in the word. It looks like being cognizant of, what am I thinking about? What am I looking at? What am I consuming? What am I reading about? Because there definitely was a point in my life where I was around people who were more weight conscious, and the scale just definitely dictated their worth. And I just remember there were times where I just would look in the mirror and definitely question myself and be like, ooh, I don't really like that pudginess, or ooh, you just need to get the 10 pounds off so that you can fit in those jeans because those jeans are better. And, I think less and less like that now, but it definitely was a struggle. And so also, like, who am I surrounding, that goes all that to say, who am I surrounding myself with? What are they thinking? How do they build themselves up? And so I think, I mean, when I don't read the word, and this is not to be like my worth is now dictated on my reading of the Bible. That's not entirely what I'm saying, but when I don't read the word, like, my mind's different. My day can be off a little bit. So that's definitely a few of those things have really, really been helpful in my day to day.
Yeah, that's powerful. Basically, what you're saying is like surround yourself with truth, like truth that is
Yes.
unchanging. And the thing is, it's like, what you believe, what you think becomes what you say, becomes what you feel, and it becomes your reality. So if you are constantly surrounding yourself with belief, thoughts, or words that are just consumed with things that are just negative and have this energy that brings you down or is constantly making you second guess yourself, you will. That will be your reality. But
Yeah.
you and being in the word each day, and especially, I mean, it's literally, I think last week I went to Romans 2 and I just was like, give me some truth, like just speak to me directly, God.
Yes.
And it was that passage too, just like nothing can separate me from his love. Like whether I'm successful in this, whether I'm a good mom, whether I'm a good wife, whether I'm a great business owner, a great cook, like nothing. And so people can actually say all they want, believe in you. I can even believe all I want. It doesn't change that truth, right? And so running
Yes.
to truth and reminding yourself of that truth, like more than daily, it's like all the time. It's just
Yeah.
like all the time because thoughts creep into your conscious, your subconscious level, and you don't even realize it's there. So
That's
working
right.
on, creating a healthy mindset practice that is centered around truth is really going to be what grounds you, and has grounded you going forward too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
well, so good. Well, I mean, you said so many great nuggets here, but as we wrap up, is there like one piece of encouragement or word that you want to share with us around body image and worth again?
Yes, I just want to say that your outside external body, whether it's exactly how you want it, it's not how you want it, you're aiming to be somewhere better, that those are all good. But my encouragement is to just sit in the mirror, look at yourself, speak life over yourself, and be so proud of how you are doing presently in that moment. So
Mm-hmm.
just that is, I think, the biggest encouragement and piece of advice. And I truly do believe in my soul that everybody is created uniquely and perfectly them. And so I just love helping other people, walk in that worth and in that truth.
That's so good. And it's so simple to just say, hey, just sit in the mirror and tell yourself these things. But if you practice it, if you try it, it's going to be very uncomfortable because it will bring up things, right? It's going to bring up
Yeah.
things you actually feel, things how you feel about yourself. And it's okay to be like, to get out the raw stuff that is my, like, just like, you know what, body, I don't like you. I haven't liked you for this long. And just be honest with it. But then at the end, it's
Yes.
like releasing. You can't just let things out and confess. It's like forgiving yourself, forgiving whoever, forgiving all these things and like letting it go so it doesn't reside in you anymore. And so
Love
that's
that.
so powerful. So tell us, I know you have a free gift on that's going to help all these ladies walk in their worth. Tell us a little bit about that free gift.
Yeah, so I met Brianna on this particular summit, and so right now, if you go to walkinyourworthseries.com, there is a free interview that I had with a life coach named Lucas, and he's just incredible. And we talk about your worth and how you are always worthy no matter what you do, and so it's
Mm,
really powerful. So walkinyourworthseries.com. You will also be on my email list, and I send out a ton of weekly encouragement.
you do. I always get it. I'm like, oh, opening.
Yay.
Let me get my little worth for the week, my little worth word. Um,
Yes.
so good. Yes, that interview. And I remember his interview was very, very powerful. So definitely go check that out. So where can people find you on the World Wide Web and social media?
Yeah. So my Instagram is Danielle Lynn Schaaf, SCHAAF. And then that's also my Facebook.
Mm,
I'm in the process of having my website created. So that's
mm,
not quite done. But
mm.
DM me, get in contact with me. I'd love to talk with you about any of these topics. I'm always
Mm.
here. I'm always here for it.
Yeah, go check out her reels too. She does some very good reels. So stay
Yes.
tuned to them. Like, very good, very good. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for joining us today. It was such a great honor for me to talk with you and talk more about worth.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. This is just so awesome what you're doing, and I love what you're doing. It just really encourages me to be reminded, that I am so much more than my weight. So,
Yes, you are. So much more.
yay. So
All
much
right.
more.
All right, everyone. Make sure you check out all of the resources that Danielle mentioned and mine in the show notes, and we will see you on the next episode. What an amazing episode. I mean, what is one word or one thing that you're leaving with? One word that I'm leaving with is just like, my goodness. We as women need to start to see that our worth is in so much more than our weight. We are amazing, and God has blessed us with so many things. And the best thing of all is his love, and how that no matter what we do, our worth is not found in how we look. And yet we still need to care for our bodies and cherish our bodies. And so I just loved everything that Danielle said, and I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Please go check out everything she mentioned. And of course, if you're wanting some support from me in my group program or even in my one-on-one work, I do have registration open for my More Than Your Weight bootcamp. So please just book a call, free complimentary call with me to just chat through if this program is for you. Again, we don't start till like end of August, but I would love to support you in some way during the summer as the bonus session for registering soon. So go to madewell345.com/clarity or go to the show notes, book that free clarity call, and we can just chat to see if this program, my 6-week program, is for you, or even if something else that I offer is for you. All right, enjoy your day, and I'll see you on the next episode. That's it. That's another episode of the More Than Your Weight podcast. I hope that you're leaving encouraged and inspired to continue to walk in your More Than Your Weight journey. But before you leave, I want you to know you're not alone. And I want you to really walk in that by joining my free group, the More Than Your Weight Women's Community. This is a space where you can unpack the podcast episodes, get support throughout your week. And also make sure you subscribe to my newsletter by signing up for weekly updates when podcasts come out, as well as all the other things that I'm offering in my business. And if you're not about Facebook, or even maybe you're not about email, make sure you follow me on Instagram at madewell345 to show you the behind the scenes of my life, my business, and also to support you there. Okay, I just had a blast in this episode, and I hope that these episodes have really been just encouraging you and inspiring you to know that you are more than your weight. Okay, that's it, and I'll see you on the next one.